The cost of the saw is around £88, so I guess it's got to be good, right? This is the not so new Haymaker saw designed by Chris at Lion Punch Forge and made by Pepe Tools, both based in America. We've had this saw now for a few weeks and I've been using it for the past week, and I thought I would let you know my thoughts on the design and also how it performs. If you were watching this film, it must mean that you know a thing or two about jewellery and the techniques involved with making jewellery. One of the first techniques that we learn is how to saw, how to pierce. And there are plenty of saws on the market to choose from, and the colours of this saw makes it stand out above the rest. Louise wanted the pink version. She's been making jewellery now for over 2 years and she just simply loved the colour. Much better than the boring, dull colours of all the other saws that we have in our workshop. The cost of the saw is around £88, so I guess it's got to be good, right? So let's go through the specifications stated and see if what they are stating is correct, or is it simply a marketing ploy. Yes, I know I am very late to the party, as this saw has been around for at least 4 years and there are plenty of reviews here on YouTube. So I thought I would chip in and let you have my opinion. So I'm going to start by going through the specifications that you see on the websites and see if what they are stating is correct. So firstly, the frame is made from aluminium for its durability, hardness, and it won't rust. Personally, I don't mind what the saw is made from, be it steel, aluminium, or even titanium. Can you get a titanium saw? I don't think so. Anyway, so hardness. Does that even matter? Is aluminium harder than steel? I don't think so, but who cares? Now, the weight. Some people say it is incredibly light and you won't even know that you are holding it. Well, I have to say that this saw weighs in at just over 7 ounces, that's 235 grams, which compared to all the other saws on the market, the Grobe, the Eclipse, the New Concepts, the Green Lion, it is in fact the heaviest saw on the market. So even being made of aluminium, it is still the heaviest. And the Green Lion saw, being made out of steel, is even lighter. It's around about 200 grams. It won't rust. Well, that is true, but I don't live in a part of the world that is humid, although it seems to rain a lot here in Wales. So I don't really have to worry about my saw rusting. But if you do live in a humid area, well then that is maybe something that you need to think about. The handle is made from aluminium and it press fits onto the frame. I presume it gets pushed upon a tang. So yes, it has been pushed onto the frame, but basically so has every other handle. And it has not fallen off. So personally, I don't see that as a benefit. And the fact that it is solid aluminium is not really, for me, a benefit either, because it adds weight. And yes, it may be bigger, it may be thicker, so you can grip it better. But why, if that's the case, would you want to grip it better? I still prefer a wooden handle. The choice of colours is, I have to say, appealing. It's a novelty, you could say. It's available in red, black, blue, pink, or is it violet? Gold, green, and even orange with a black handle. Will the colour help your ability to saw? No. Will it look good? Well, perhaps, yes it will. This saw, being pink, I can easily find it when I misplace it. But to be honest, it can only be in 2 places. It's either going to be in my tray here or on my bench. So the colour really does not matter to me. But if you do have a colour coordinated workshop, that's great. You can match the saw to your colour scheme. The throat depth is 5 inches, 127 millimeters, meaning that you are able to cut large pieces of metal. Well, for me, I only cut small pieces of metal, no bigger than usually 2 inches, 50 millimeters. So I feel that this size of frame is a bit overkill. Most saw frames are only 3 inches, 75 millimeters, which is ample for everyday piercing. Should I need a deeper throat for the very, very rare occasions when I need to cut a bigger piece of metal, then I can simply buy an adjustable deep-throated saw just for that occasion and still have a change for a few bottles of wine. People have also mentioned that the saw blade slips and that this has been rectified on these later saws. Well, that is simply not true for me. My blade slips all the time, but being told to dismantle the holding mechanism, use a little bit of white spirit to remove any grease or to roughen up the surfaces to hold the blade is not something that I should do. This should have been done at the point of manufacture. Now, when it comes to the big selling point according to the product descriptions, the saw is perfectly balanced. You see, everyone with their finger out, balancing the saw and saying that it remains upright with no, he says, with no effort to keep it there. But take a look at where my finger is. The center of gravity is not where the finger is. It's about 20 millimeters this way towards the blade. The point where the wing nut is should be the center of gravity, as that is in line with the handle and the blade. So even this frame is back heavy, just like every other saw. Perhaps if it was a 3-inch frame, then it would be balanced at that particular point. And talking of these balanced specifications, there are these protrusions to counteract the weight, but for me they're totally unnecessary. This top piece is shaped like a lion's claw to resemble Lion Punch Forge, but it simply gets in the way every single day. When I'm resizing a ring and I'm marking out the sizes I need to remove, it hits my bench peg, causing the saw to jump, and I can imagine that if I was piercing a sheet of metal, then if I came too far down on the downward stroke, that claw could easily mark my sheet. Now, if the saw was a traditional 3-inch depth, then these pieces could be done away with. Plus, the extra depth of the saw frame hits my optivisor all the time. My optivisor is a Ford diopter, which means it's a simple 2x magnification. I like to have it on as it magnifies the work and I can see better and get more accurate results. But it hits my optivisor every single time, and the only way to stop that happening is to move my head back, which makes things out of focus. So that really does not help. Oh, and whilst we're on the subject of this deep throat frame here, for me, this is the major snag. Apart from not being balanced, imagine driving a car, let's say a Mini, for example, or a little Fiat 500, bear with me, and you're towing a caravan behind it. When you turn the steering wheel slightly, that movement is transferred to your caravan, which swerves a lot more than what you did. It takes all your effort to counter that swerve to try and bring the car back to a straight line again. And this is exactly what using this saw is like. The distance that the back of the saw is from the blade is so far that any small turn on the handle, however slight, is magnified to the back of the saw, and it almost acts like a pendulum. A small movement at one end of a pendulum is exaggerated when it gets to the other end of the pendulum. I have found that I have never broken as many saw blades as I have with this saw. A slight movement causes the blade to twist, and if you're sawing thick metal, then the blades will break far more easily because the back of the saw will be moving back and forth. Then there is the cost. This saw costs around about £88, which I can understand due to the manufacturing costs. And after all, the new concept saw is of a similar value, but this saw is over 11 times the price of a basic fixed frame, or even, dare I say, an adjustable saw frame. Okay, so you can have it in pink or gold or green or blue, but If I was paying that kind of price for a saw, then I would expect it to make my not so good piercing absolutely perfect and not break any saw blades. Everything about the design of the frame is purely cosmetic. The shape, the colour. It still has the centuries-old blade fittings, and you still need to push it against your bench to tension the blades. So no new innovations there. A lot of people love the saw frame, and that's good. And there are plenty of positive reviews. But for me, there is nothing about this saw that will improve my piercing. In fact, the added addition of these features here actually hinders my workflow and the way I saw, and that is not a good thing considering the cost of the saw. The original design of a piercing saw has not changed much over the past few centuries, since around about the 1500s, and that is because the basic shape is so simple. It simply works as it is. I have the first saw I've ever bought over 39 years ago, and I use it every single day. Well, apart from the last week when I've been using this saw. And it is so simple, nothing can go wrong with it. So to sum up, the saw has a couple of good points, but for me, the design is totally unnecessary. I've given it a chance, but I am not prepared to change the way I work just to cater for this saw. And a few other people who have left reviews on this saw have said exactly the same thing. So to put it simply, why reinvent the wheel?